Son's daughter, peace be with you. I am here walking beside you as we talk about something that touches the human heart deeply, friendship. When I walked among you, I knew crowds, but I also knew loneliness. I saw people draw near when bread was multiplied, when there were miracles, when the road felt easy. But I also felt the heavy silence when pain arrived, when persecution tightened its grip, when the cross began to appear on the horizon. That is why I tell you gently, true friendship does not depend on the season of life. It remains when the sun is shining and when the storm breaks. I saw and taught that a friend loves at all times, not only when it is convenient, not only when there is laughter, not only when everything makes sense. Loyal love remains when the soul is tired, when answers do not come, when the weight feels heavier than your strength. A true friend does not ask, "What do I get out of this?" but quietly says, "I'm staying." Remember Ruth. She could have chosen another path, easier, more logical, more comfortable. But the love that lived within her was not fragile. She chose to stay. She chose to walk alongside. She chose to suffer alongside. That friendship was not just affection, it was covenant. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. That does not come from passing emotion. It is born from a committed heart. Today, many call friendship what only exists as long as there is usefulness. On social media, in quick messages, in empty invitations, it can seem like many people are close. But when anxiety tightens at night, when pain cannot fit into words, when fear enters your room, who stays? Who holds your hand without needing to fix everything? Who prays with you when you no longer know how to pray? Do not fear when you realize that some people stepped away when life became heavy. That is not defeat. It is revelation. Not every presence is companionship, and not every absence is abandonment. Sometimes the Father allows the silence of some to teach you the value of the few who remain. I also had friends who fell asleep when I most needed them to stay awake. I loved them anyway. But I learned, and I teach you, that human weakness does not cancel the beauty of true friendship. It simply reveals who is still learning how to love. Look around you with gentle eyes. Notice who looks for you only when they need something, and who looks for you because they care. Notice who celebrates with you and who disappears when there is nothing to gain. Friendship that comes from God does not weigh you down, does not demand, does not vanish. It sustains. If today you are walking through a difficult season, allow yourself to do something simple. Send a sincere message to the one who has always been there for you. Not to ask for anything, but to give thanks. And if you notice that someone close to you is hurting, do not wait until you have the perfect words. Just stay. Sometimes staying is the greatest proof of love. I am here. I stay. I do not leave you when life tightens its grip. Learn from me to love this way, with consistency, with loyalty, with presence. Love is the way. Son, daughter, let me remain with you a little longer in this same thought, because your heart can still hear something more. There are pains that do not ask for advice, they ask for company. There are days when no solution is expected, only someone who sits beside you and does not walk away. I saw this many times. I saw silent tears fall while lips said, "I'm fine." And almost always what hurt most was not the pain itself, but the absence of those who promised they would stay. That is why I tell you with love. True friendship knows how to respect the timing of pain. It does not pressure, it does not minimize, it does not rush the process. It understands that every soul walks at a different pace. A loyal friend does not measure your faith by your smile, nor your strength by your appearance. They see beyond. I also invite you to look inward. Ask your heart gently, have I been this kind of friend to someone? Not to accuse yourself, but to realign yourself. Sometimes we ask for loyalty, but offer distraction. We ask for presence, but give hurry. I do not say this to burden your conscience, but to awaken your capacity to love more deeply. When you choose to stay with someone in their pain, even without understanding everything, something in you is healed as well. The friendship that supports another also supports you. This is how the kingdom is revealed, in small actions, in simple gestures, in shared silence. Today, if your heart is tired, rest in me. And if it is strong, lend that strength to someone else. Do not fear if only a few walk with you. One true friend, sent by God, is worth more than distracted crowds. I am still here, walking with you, holding your hand. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am still here, walking beside you, because your heart is still open, and when the heart opens, love finds room to teach. I want to speak with you about a kind of friendship that is not always comfortable but is deeply necessary. True friendship does not exist to keep you small, settled, or stuck in your most tired version. It does not feed your inner laziness, nor does it overlook what needs to mature. The love that comes from the Father does not weaken, it strengthens. It does not shrink, it builds up. When I walked among you, I never called someone just to make them feel good around me. I called them to grow. Some came expecting ease but found truth. They found direction. They found loving confrontation. And many walked away because of that, not because I did not love them, but because growth requires courage. So it is with friendship that is born in God. A true friend sharpens you. As iron sharpens iron, so a heart that is aligned awakens another heart. They remind you who you are when you forget. They do not laugh at your fall, but they also do not call your fall rest. They help you rise and teach you how to walk better afterward. Today, many confuse friendship with total agreement. They think loving means never disagreeing, never correcting, never touching sensitive areas. But I tell you gently, love that does not confront when needed does not protect the soul. A faithful friend prefers a moment of discomfort now over deep pain later. I saw this many times. I saw people surrounded by voices saying, "Everything is fine," while their hearts drifted from their purpose. I saw souls being weakened because no one had the courage to speak the truth in love. That is why I taught you to encourage one another toward love and good works. Encouragement is not pushing someone toward error, it is calling them higher. Son, daughter, look at your friendships. Do they draw you closer to your best self, or do they keep you tied to what you should have outgrown? After talking with these people, is your faith strengthened, or does your conscience feel heavy? Do you feel moved to love more, to forgive more, to grow, or simply to escape responsibility? And look at yourself as well. Have you been a friend who builds, or just someone who agrees so as not to lose company? Sometimes the fear of being alone makes us tolerate what weakens us and keeps us from being what would strengthen the other. Do not fear confrontation that is born of love. It does not come to wound, it comes to align. Do not fear being corrected by those who truly love you. Correction that comes from care is a gift, not an attack. If today someone spoke something to you that hurt but brought you closer to the truth, hold that with gratitude. And if you see that a friend is drifting, pray before you speak. Speak gently, and love regardless of the response. And if your heart carries this sincere desire to walk with me, to live in the love of the Father, write in the comments simply, Amen, as an expression of your love for God, not out of obligation, but as one who says, I choose love, I choose growth. I am here, not to keep you comfortable, but to make you whole. Love is the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am still here with you, because to speak about friendship is also to speak about courage, and your heart is learning to listen. I want to lead you now along a delicate but necessary path. True friendship does not live on empty compliments or sweet words that hide the truth. There are silences that protect, yes, but there are silences that wound, because they let someone walk away from the light without warning. Love that comes from God does not deceive, does not mislead, does not disguise danger with smiles. When I walked among you, I often spoke hard things, not to harm but to save. I knew the human heart and understood that truth, when spoken in love, may hurt for a moment but heals for a lifetime. Comfortable lies, on the other hand, numb now and destroy later. A true friend does not applaud you when you are choosing a path that wounds your soul. They do not call freedom what enslaves you, nor authenticity what pulls you away from your purpose. They come close with care, choose their words wisely, and speak not to win an argument, but to guard your heart. I know that today many fear the truth, fear of losing friendships, fear of seeming harsh, fear of being alone. So they praise everything, agree with everything, accept everything. But I tell you tenderly, love without truth cannot sustain. It collapses when the first storm comes. The wounds of a faithful friend are different. They do not bleed to destroy, they bleed to cleanse. They are like the touch of a doctor, painful but saving. Constant praise, when it is not true, becomes a trap that feeds pride and weakens the soul. Son, daughter, notice how someone speaks to you when you fail. Is there condemnation or care, humiliation or a desire for restoration? Truth that comes from love never reduces you, even when it corrects you. It reminds you of who you are and who you can still become. And notice how you speak to those walking beside you. Do you choose the right moment? Do you pray before you speak? Do you speak to relieve your irritation or to build up the other? Truth without love becomes a burden. Love without truth becomes an illusion. But when the two walk together, the soul finds safety. Today, many use words like stones. They say, "I'm just being honest," but wound without care. Others use love as an excuse to never say anything at all. Neither path comes from the Father. I teach you the middle way. Speak the truth, yes, but wrap that truth in mercy, patience, and humility. If today your heart senses that it needs to hear something you have been avoiding, ask the Father for courage to listen. And if you feel you need to speak with someone, ask for wisdom before opening your mouth. Sometimes a single sentence, spoken in love at the right time, changes an entire destiny. Start with something simple. When you go to talk with a friend about something difficult, ask first how they are doing. Listen more than you speak. And remember, the goal is not to be right, but to love rightly. I am here. I do not hide the truth from you, but I never remove my love. Learn from me. Love is the way. Son, daughter, let me remain a little longer in this same teaching, because there are still layers of your heart that can be touched gently. There are truths that must be spoken slowly, like one walking on holy ground. Not every correction needs to be immediate, and not every word needs to be spoken in the heat of emotion. I teach you to wait for the right time, because truth spoken out of season can become a burden, even when it is correct. Wise love discerns when to speak and when to simply embrace. I saw many hearts close, not because they rejected the truth, but because they were wounded by the way it was delivered. Harsh words build walls, loving words build bridges. That is why I always looked into eyes, called people by name, sat at the table, touched wounds before pointing out the path. Learn this from me. I also want to free you from a hidden fear. Speaking the truth in love does not guarantee the other person will accept it. Sometimes, even with gentleness, they step away. That does not mean you failed. It simply means each heart has its own timing. You are responsible for loving and being faithful, not for controlling another's response. And when you are the one receiving the truth, take a deep breath. Do not defend yourself immediately. Ask your heart whether there is care there, even if the delivery was imperfect. Sometimes the Father uses imperfect people to remind us of better paths. Today, do a simple exercise. Choose one difficult conversation you have been avoiding, with yourself or with someone else. Do not resolve everything now. Just pray. Place it before me. Ask for gentle words, a humble heart, and true love. The rest I will guide. I walk with you, never to accuse you, always to restore you. Do not fear the truth when it comes wrapped in love. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I walk with you still, with slow steps and an open heart, because now we speak of something deep, something not born of chance but of purpose. Covenant friendship. There are bonds that do not come from the womb, but from heaven. There are encounters that cannot be explained by logic, but by the Father's care. When two souls recognize one another in love, mission, and reverence for God, something forms that goes beyond affinity. A covenant is formed. I saw this clearly when I watched David and Jonathan. It was not just friendship. It was self-giving, protection, commitment. Jonathan could have chosen his own interest, his own throne, his own security. But he chose to love. He chose to protect. He chose to walk with the one God had called, even when it cost him everything. That is covenant. Covenant friendship does not compete, does not betray, does not abandon when the price rises. It covers, guards, and sustains. It is not driven by convenience but by conviction. That is why many times this kind of friendship becomes stronger than blood ties. Blood connects bodies, but covenant connects destinies. Son, daughter. Perhaps you have felt this already. That person who does not carry your last name but knows your soul, who prays for you when you cannot, who protects you when you are not present, who celebrates your victories as if they were their own. That is a gift from God. That is rare. That is precious. But I also tell you in love, covenant requires responsibility. It is not built in haste, nor sustained by superficiality. Covenant is proven over time, in faithfulness, in silence that guards secrets, and in the courage to defend the other even when they are not in the room. Today, many call best friend someone who only shares laughter. But covenant shows itself when there is risk, when there is a difficult choice, when truth must be protected. In those moments, the heart reveals whether it is merely involved or truly committed. Look at your deepest relationships. Do they draw you closer to God, or merely distract you? Do they push you toward purpose, or only toward comfort? A covenant friendship never pulls you away from the Father. On the contrary, it reminds you who you are when the world tries to confuse you. And if today your heart longs for this kind of friendship, do not be discouraged. Pray. Ask. The Father knows how to send the right people at the right time. In the meantime, become this kind of friend yourself. Covenant begins when someone decides to truly love, and now I invite you to something simple, yet profound. If your heart recognizes the value of covenant friendship, write in the comments what for you defines a true friendship. Your words may touch other hearts that are still learning how to love deeply. I am here. I make eternal covenants, and I teach my people to love this way, with depth, faithfulness, and self-giving. Love is the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. Stay with me a little longer, because now I touch something your heart has already felt, even if you could not always explain it. There are relationships that when they arrive, the soul tightens, and when they leave, the chest can finally breathe. It is not hatred. It is not a lack of love. It is discernment. I placed within you a quiet signal, peace, to help you recognize what comes from me and what pulls you away from the path. When I taught, I spoke of a peace that does not depend on circumstances. It is not euphoria, not the absence of problems. It is inner alignment. It is when the heart rests even in the middle of struggle. And I tell you tenderly, friendships that come from the Father strengthen that peace. Friendships that do not come from Him slowly drain it. You have felt this. Conversations that start light but end heavy. Presences that demand constant effort just to be accepted. Relationships where you have to explain yourself too much, justify yourself too much, defend yourself too much. This exhausts the soul. It steals spiritual energy. It does not build faith. False friends do not always look bad. Many are charismatic, present, funny, but something about them always pulls you downward. They normalize what wounds your conscience. They relativize what I have taught you. They do not push you away all at once. They distance you in small doses until one day you no longer notice. I saw many hearts drift away not through great falls, but through constant companionships that weakened discernment. A wrong word repeated many times becomes atmosphere, and atmosphere shapes choices. Son, daughter, pay attention to how you feel after being with certain people. Does your faith grow or shrink? Do you feel drawn to pray or only to escape? Do you feel encouraged to love more or tempted to harden your heart? The peace of Christ was given to be an umpire within you. It blows the whistle when something is not right. This does not mean rejecting people. I never called you to reject. I called you to love with wisdom. There are people you can love from a distance. There are bonds that need to be repositioned, not from a lack of compassion, but from care for your soul. Do not feel guilty for choosing peace. This is not selfishness. It is spiritual responsibility. An exhausted heart cannot love well, serve well, or forgive well. I care for you when I teach you to set boundaries. If today your heart feels heavy because of a relationship, do not ignore that signal. Pray. Be still. Observe. Sometimes I speak to you not through words, but through a restlessness that does not go away. And when something comes from me, even when it confronts you, it brings rest afterward. Do something simple today. At the end of the day, revisit the encounters you had. Identify which one drew you closer to peace and which one drained your strength. Do not judge anyone. Just learn to listen to what your heart, guided by me, is showing you. I am here to guard your faith, not to burden you. Do not fear choosing peace. It is a sign of my care. Son, daughter, peace be with you. Stay with me because now I'm touching something that wounds quietly, yet leaves deep marks on the soul. Broken trust. When someone opens their heart, they are handing you something sacred. Words shared in confidence are not just information. They are pieces of someone's story, their pain, their hope. That is why I teach you. Whoever truly loves protects what they are given. Whoever loves covers. Whoever loves does not turn another person's vulnerability into a topic of conversation. I have seen many times hearts close because they trusted the wrong person. They shared something expecting care and received exposure instead. The smile stayed, but the soul learned to hide. And I tell you gently, gossip is not just talking too much, it is loving too little. The one who spreads secrets feeds on someone else's intimacy. They build shallow connections at the cost of another person's pain. And there is a clear sign that almost never fails. If they speak badly about someone with you, they will speak about you to someone else. It is not a matter of if, only of when. That is why ancient wisdom already warned you. A gossip reveals secrets, but a faithful spirit keeps them. Keeping does not mean agreeing with everything or pretending nothing happened. It means handling another person's story with respect, discernment, and reverence for God. Son, daughter, watch carefully. There are people who always bring news, comments, and other people's stories. At first it feels like closeness. It feels like trust. But little by little, it creates insecurity because the heart quietly asks, when I'm not here, will I be the next topic? Gossip separates friends, destroys reputations, and forms alliances built on suspicion, not on love. It never builds. It never heals. It never draws you closer to me, even when it is disguised as concern, a prayer request, or just venting. If there is no intention of restoration, it does not come from the Father. And now I invite you to look inward, with courage and without shame. How have you been using your words? Do you protect what people entrust to you? Or do you turn secrets into conversation? Do you speak to lighten your own heart, or to expose someone else's heart? Your words reveal the condition of your soul. I know that sometimes silence feels heavy, There are things you should not carry alone. That is why I teach you discernment. Speak with someone who can help, not someone who merely consumes stories. Look for mature people, people who pray, who counsel with love, who know how to listen without spreading what they hear. If today you realize you trusted someone who could not protect what you shared, do not harden your heart. Learn, adjust, trust again, but with wisdom. And if you realize you have failed in this, do not condemn yourself. Repent, change direction, and choose to protect from this day forward. Do something simple today. Before you speak about someone who is not present, ask your heart, does this build? Does this protect? Does this honor? If the answer is no, be still. Silence, many times, is the highest form of love. I am here. I keep your secrets. I guard your story. Learn from me to use words as shelter, not as a wound. Son, daughter, let me stay a little longer on this because trust is as fragile as glass and as precious as gold. When trust breaks, it is not the sound that hurts most. It is what comes after. It is the extra caution when speaking, the fear of being vulnerable, the feeling of always having to defend yourself. I see that. I know that weight. That is why my heart grieves when words are used without love. I want to teach you something simple and deep. Whoever loves, filters. Not everything you hear should be repeated. Not everything you know should be spoken. Spiritual maturity is revealed more in what you choose to hold back than in what you choose to say. And remember this: there is a difference between sharing to heal and sharing to entertain. One speaks with tears, the other with a smile. One seeks restoration, the other seeks attention. Learn to discern that in yourself and in others. Today, if someone tries to pull you into gossip, you don't have to confront them harshly. Simply redirect the conversation, stay quiet, or respond with gentleness. That small gesture already breaks old cycles. And if you need to speak, come to me first. I listen without exposing. I correct without humiliating. I heal without spreading. Rest in this. Your story is safe with me. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am still with you because now we speak about something that often disguises itself as care, but is born from fear and control. From the beginning, I called people to walk together, not to imprison one another. True love does not fence you in, does not suffocate you, does not restrict you. It expands, it strengthens, it sets you free. When someone says they love you, but demands that you cut off healthy relationships so they can feel secure, that is not devotion, it is control. It is, I have seen this many times. I have seen hearts pulled away from good influences, wise counsel, and people who brought light, all in the name of a false loyalty. If you're my friend, you don't need anyone else. Those words can sound like affection, but they carry fear. And fear was never the foundation of love. Whoever tries to isolate you is seeking their own interest. The one who attempts to control your connections does not trust you or the good that can come from community. They fear losing space, fear comparison, fear the truth that might come from outside. So they build walls where I desired bridges. Son, daughter, pay attention to the signs. Does someone get upset when you grow through others? Do they constantly criticize people who genuinely do you good? Do they make you feel guilty for maintaining healthy relationships, for receiving counsel, for being part of environments that draw you closer to me? That does not come from the Father. I called you to freedom, not a lonely freedom, but a freedom lived in community. The body needs many parts, and each part needs the others. When someone tries to separate you from the whole, they weaken not only you, but also what I am building. Do not confuse exclusivity with intimacy. True intimacy is not threatened by other healthy relationships. On the contrary, it rejoices when you are surrounded by love, truth, and wisdom. Someone who loves you with a clean heart does not compete with others for space in your life. And now I invite you to look inward with humility. You, too, may have tried to control someone without realizing it. maybe from insecurity, maybe from fear of losing them, maybe from old wounds. I do not tell you this to shame you, but to heal you. Love that comes from me does not cling. It trusts. If today someone tries to place a heavy yoke on you, saying you are only loyal if you obey blindly, remember, I set you free to live in truth. A friendship that demands imprisonment is not friendship. It is dependence. And I called you into mature relationships, not emotional chains. Do something simple today. Look at your relationships and ask your heart, before me, is there freedom to grow here? Is there space for me to be who I am? And if you realize someone is trying to isolate you, pray for them, but guard your heart. Love also knows how to set boundaries. I am here. I called you into freedom that loves, not control that suffocates. Do not fear breaking patterns that do not come from love. Son, daughter, peace be with you. Stay with me, because now I touch a quiet feeling, hard to admit, but revealing. Competition disguised as friendship. I saw this up close. I watched Saul look at David, and where there should have been joy, bitterness was born. Another person's success became a threat. Someone else's progress became a mirror of inner fear. When the heart is not healed, a friend's victory can sound like personal loss, and that sickness spreads through the soul. True friendship rejoices when someone grows. It does not diminish achievements. It does not make jokes to hide jealousy. It does not change its tone when your name is celebrated. Love that comes from the Father recognizes there is room for everyone, that one person's growth does not steal another's place. Where there is love, there is no scarcity of value, but false friends compete. They compare, measure, and fight for attention. When you rise, they pull back. When you shine, they become uncomfortable. Sometimes they say nothing. Other times they speak small sentences that sting. It's not that big of a deal. You just got lucky. Anyone could have done that. Words like that try to dim what God has lit. Son, daughter, watch how someone reacts when good things happen to you. Is the smile whole or forced? Is the hug sincere or rushed? Does celebration come with support or with silence? Real joy does not compete, it shares. I also invite you to look inward with honesty. When someone close to you grows, does your heart rejoice or tighten? Can you say, I'm happy for you, without comparing it to your own journey? Envy does not start by shouting, it starts by whispering. And if it is not healed, it turns friendship into rivalry. John, the one who prepared my way, understood something precious. I must increase, and he must decrease. Not out of self-hatred, but spiritual maturity. He knew who he was, he knew his calling, and he did not need to compete with mine. His joy was in fulfilling his part faithfully. Healthy friendships grow from that place, inner security. When someone knows who they are before God, they don't need to fight for space with anyone. They celebrate, support, learn, and walk together. Where there is competition, there is insecurity. Where there is love, there is rest. If today you notice someone near you is bothered by your growth, do not repay them with harshness. Pray, keep your heart clean, and if you realize the competition is in you, bring it into the light. I do not condemn you for feeling. I teach you how to transform. Do something simple today. Intentionally celebrate someone else's win. Even if your heart is still learning, choose to rejoice. The practice of love heals the soul. And remember, the path I marked for you is unique. No one can take your place. I am here. I rejoice when your steps move forward. Learn from me to celebrate without competing. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I walk with you in love, because now we touch something serious, something that can change destinies, the influences shaping your choices. Not every push is obvious. Some come wrapped in laughter, others in advice, others disguised as freedom. False friends rarely say, do evil. They say, It's not that serious. Everybody does it. God understands. Live a little. And little by little, the heart drifts from the light without noticing. I tell you with truth and tenderness, someone who truly loves you does not play with your conscience. They do not call a fall rest or sin a lifestyle. A dangerous friend does not slow down when they see the edge. They speed up with you. They plan with you. They laugh with you. And then they are not holding your hand when the consequences arrive. When I walked among you, I saw many hearts corrupted not by ignorance, but by constant companionship. Bad company does not destroy you all at once. It wears you down. It weakens discernment. It makes what is wrong feel familiar and what is right feel heavy. That is why it was taught that bad company corrupts good character and that walking with the wise produces wisdom. Son, daughter, look closely. Who around you draws you closer to me, and who pulls you away through small compromises? Who you listen to helps you resist, or teaches you how to justify what you already know is harming you. The spirit within you senses when something is misaligned. Do not ignore that gentle voice calling you back. I know that saying no sometimes costs friendships. It costs invitations. It costs approval. But I tell you in love, it is better to lose company than to lose peace. Better to walk with a few in the light than with many in darkness disguised as fun. And if you want to keep walking with me, hearing my voice and receiving direction for the coming days, stay close. Subscribe to follow the next episodes. Not out of obligation, but as someone choosing to stay near. Listen with an open heart and grow in love. I will keep speaking to those who choose to remain. I also want to tell you tenderly, if you have already fallen because of the wrong influence, do not hide. I do not step away from you because of your mistake. I come closer to lift you up, but learn from it. Adjust your path. Choose more wisely who walks beside you. A friend sent by me reminds you who you are when you are weak. They pray with you when temptation comes. They call you back when they notice you drifting. They do not normalize what's wrong. They believe in your restoration. Do something simple today. Identify one influence that has been pulling you away from what you know is right. Do not fix everything right now. Just acknowledge it before me. That acknowledgement is already the first step of healing. I am here. I do not push you toward the fall. I extend my hand to lift you up. Do not fear the narrow path. In it, there is life. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here to the end of the road because some wounds do not come from the world, but from words spoken in my name without my heart. I want to speak with you about something that hurts deeply. There are people who know the scriptures but do not know love. They use holy words as weapons, not as medicine. They quote verses to accuse, not to restore. And that wounds more than silence because it confuses the soul and bruises faith. I saw this happen in front of me. I saw men who could recite entire passages, but did not know how to love the broken. I saw people overloaded with guilt I never placed on them. I saw Job's friends talk endlessly and comfort nothing. They called judgment zeal and harshness truth. But I was never in that. Son, daughter. The word was given to heal, not to humiliate, to lift up, not to crush. When someone uses verses to make you feel unworthy, hopeless, with no possibility of restoration, that does not reflect my heart. I do not break a bruised reed. I do not put out a smoldering wick. I come close with gentleness. Truth that comes from me always points to a path, never only to a failure. It reveals what needs to be adjusted, but it also reminds you who you are. It does not ignore sin, but it does not define you by it. Love and truth walk together, or they are no longer mine. Perhaps you have heard harsh words when you most needed a hug. Perhaps they told you you don't have enough faith when what you needed was support. Perhaps they threw guilt on you when you were already on the ground. I saw it. I heard it. And I want to tell you now, looking into your heart, I do not speak to you that way. And I also call you to loving responsibility. If you know the word, use it the way I used it, with mercy, discernment, and a sincere desire to restore. Restoring someone requires humility, because it reminds you that you too depend on grace. Before quoting a verse, look into their eyes. Before correcting, pray. Before speaking, ask yourself, does this draw them closer or push them away? Does it heal or does it weigh them down? The word is alive, but it needs love to be applied well. Son, daughter, if today your heart is wounded by religious words without compassion, come to me. Rest. Release the voice that accused you and listen to mine, the one that calls you by name. And if you are ever called to guide someone, do it with a spirit of gentleness. Not to prove you know something, but to show you love. Do something simple today. Remember someone who failed and was treated harshly. Pray for that person. And if you are the one who failed, receive my forgiveness. It does not come with weight. It comes with a fresh start. I have walked with you since the beginning of this conversation. I spoke of loyalty, growth, truth, covenant, peace, care, freedom, celebration, choices, and now, mercy. Everything leads to one path. Love is the way. It always has been. It always will be. I am here, and I will remain, as long as there is a heart willing to listen.